morning, everybody. This is Lainie from Camp Joy Farms. It is Saturday, February 19th, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day here in South Louisiana. I don't know how much I'm going to get done today. I hate to waste a day like this, but I'm kind of pacing myself. This has been kind of a rough week for me. It started out rough last Sunday, a little bit, I wouldn't say rough. I was just exhausted, just really tired, which wasn't like me. It was a beautiful day. I had goals in mind, things I wanted to get done, and I just couldn't seem to get going. It's like my eyes were tired all day, like they were burning, and I just wanted to shut my eyes, and I ended up falling asleep right as the Super Bowl came on. I don't really care if I watch the Super Bowl, but I was going to just sit in the den with my husband and watch it and do a little work on my computer, some garden planning and things like that. And I never actually even turned my computer on. And all of a sudden I woke up and my daughter said something to me about the halftime show that was this or that. And I said, halftime show? I had slept all the way to the third quarter without even seeing the kickoff. It was just, that's how tired I was Sunday. And I didn't realize, I just thought, well, I'm tired. You know, I've been doing a lot of stuff. I didn't realize it was really my body kind of rolling into a week of not feeling good. I've had a sore throat all this week and coughing really, really bad. I'll probably have to edit this video a lot just because I'll end up coughing during it. Even my ears started hurting and things like that. And I just didn't want to go to the doctor. So I just kind of treated it with things I have at the house and took a lot of Tylenol and took it easy, tried to take it easy. I still managed to get out and get a little bit done Tuesday, which was February 15th, because I had in my mind that I needed to get my potatoes planted by then. And I knew we had a big rainstorm coming Thursday. So I made myself go outside and plant potatoes, and I got them done. I planted 10 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes that I got at a feed and seed store in Folsom, Louisiana the other day. And I planted 5 pounds of Kennebec Whites that I got from the Hometown Ace in Amite, Louisiana. And I love that Hometown Ace. If you live anywhere near here, I suggest you go shop there. It's just the nicest little store. I love it. So my voice isn't that great today. I'm getting over it, I guess, but it's lingering. You know, it started with tiredness on Sunday, and here it is Saturday, you know, and I'm still just kind of getting through this video. I just walked out to my gardens, and I'm so excited because my peas are finally coming up, my little Marvel English peas. Now, I have planted peas in the fall the last couple of times I've planted them. I planted them in the fall, and I guess because the soil is so much warmer, they pop up pretty quick. And so these I planted them February 6th, and today's the 19th, so they're really just coming up. And so anyway, it's made me very, very nervous. I just didn't expect them to take this long to start coming up, and I can tell more and more are going to come up, but this is just the first few that are breaking through now, so I know more will follow. But it's taken, 13 days for these first few to start breaking through. And it was really making me nervous. And my carrots are doing the same thing. I just don't plant a lot this early in the spring. I normally, the only time I've really done carrots, I planted them a little later in the spring and they came up quicker, which isn't that great to do in Louisiana because it gets hot and sometimes they don't do that great. So I tried to plant these a little earlier. There's a couple of them popping up out of the soil out there. I know there's more coming, but it's a little bit stressful, especially when you have a YouTube channel, especially when you featured, planting something. This is my first time to go through that. So it is a little bit nerve-wracking to have things take 2 weeks to come up, or to worry that they're not going to come up and that I should have already replanted or something like that. But you don't really want to jump and replant too early because, it is colder soil right now. And things will come up kind of when they want to. I had planted some kohlrabi in my wheelbarrow, the same wheelbarrow that I grew carrots in that I featured on a video. And I had planted those kohlrabi seeds weeks and weeks ago and had just pretty much gave them up for lost. So the other day I decided, well, I'm just going to go out there and plant some more. Maybe I planted them too early. So I walked out there with my seed packet. Luckily I had my glasses on. because when I went to start planting the seeds, I looked down and there were the kohlrabi. They were teeny weeny. They were just little bitty leaves coming out of the ground, out of the wheelbarrow. But they were all coming up. Just about every one that I had planted, spaced out in that wheelbarrow, came up. So like 100% germination, but it took 3 weeks to a month even. So you never know this time of year with this soil temperature when something's going to pop up and whether it's just going to take longer than you expected. So, and I'm learning a lot of these things too. I have gardened for 2 years now, but 2020 was really the year that I had fun doing it. I enjoyed doing it. I was really able to walk out there every day and really know my gardens. Last year was kind of a blur. I enjoyed it. It did give me some blessing and some peace, but it was just kind of a blur as far as I wasn't able to be as attentive to everything. And then I jumped right into 2022 and started as a business. So I'm learning. I'm still learning, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm just going to go forward. Which brings me to my next little saga in my week. This has just really been a long week. I told you Sunday I was just tired all day, to the point where my husband and my daughter were even saying, are you getting sick? I was like, I don't feel sick. I feel fine. I'm just tired. Well, so I had things I wanted to do this week. When spring is coming, and when you have a gardening business, or even just a really good garden you're wanting to get going, you have things you have to get done. And so I had the week mapped out with things that I needed to do each day, especially because Tuesday the 15th, I wanted to not only start my potatoes in the ground, but I wanted to start my seeds on my seed rack that I made, my seed starting rack. So Monday was going to be my day to get some dirt work done in the gardens. I was going to finish bringing the organic soil to finish these last 2 rows in my upper garden. I wanted to get that disked in, and I wanted to get those rows rowed up. And if I had time, I wanted to get drip tape laid on them. That was one goal, and it was easily achievable since Monday was going to be a beautiful day. I also wanted to go to my other garden that's across the beach, which I call Richard's Garden. So my goal there was to finish spreading the black organic soil, a little layer over my regular soil, get that disked in, and get that rowed up. I knew I wasn't going to have time to do drip tape on it, but I felt like with the tractor, the disking and the rowing up, I could get done without a problem. But, they always say when you have a plan, God laughs. Well, Monday was, if any of you have kids or grandkids, and you've read that book, Alexander's Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Day, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've read that book, it's a cute little book for kids. Well, I kind of had Lainie's Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Day that day. It was bad. I ended up in 2 big crying fits, and I'm embarrassed to even say that, but it happened, and it was just terrible. I always say it's hard for me to even get out of the house in the morning because I am, the spouse of someone who has had a stroke. So our timelines and our days just don't flow like everybody else's. That's just the way it is, and I'm okay with that. But sometimes when you're really, really anxious to get out the door, you're wanting to take advantage of the weather, you wanting to get things done, you're ready to get outside. And sometimes no matter what, even if you don't have a garden, you're just ready to get outside. If you've been inside all night and, all evening because of the Super Bowl, we weren't outside. So it's like, I just wanted to get outside. I was ready to go outside. It seems like anytime I'm really excited to go outside and to jump on my work, nothing goes right. And I'm going to tell you, Monday morning, nothing went right. Nothing. We could not get out of the house. It took forever. Dressing took forever. Teeth brushing, everything just took forever. I probably slept a little later than I should have, but like I've said before, sometimes I have to get up 2 and 3 times during the night. So sometimes it's just like it's hard to get going in the morning. But I got breakfast cooked. I wanted to go ahead and clean the kitchen before I went outside for the day because I didn't want to come inside that evening to cook supper and have a messy kitchen. So cleaned the kitchen, got Richard ready, and I went to the shed to get this 4-wheeler for him so that he could ride that while I was doing things on the tractor. And I brought it around to the house, and then when I'm walking outside the house with Richard, I noticed the back tires almost flat on the 4-wheeler. somehow when I aired it up one time, the little valve stem cap, I misplaced it and didn't put it back on. So now I don't think there's anything wrong with the tire per se, but I think it leaks slowly because it doesn't have a cap on the valve stem. So of course we go to walk outside, and it's just going flat. So I was like, okay. So I said, well, we'll just drive it over to the shed and I'll run the extension cord to the house and plug in the compressor, and I'll air it up. Then I remembered that I had just taken the extension cord off the compressor. I had ran it from an outlet on our carport all the way around my house to the aerator on our sewer system. We've had some trouble this year with the circuits that run the electricity for that outlet for our sewer system. And it went out it went out a few months before Christmas, and I just didn't do anything about it. I didn't think it was that big a deal, but apparently it was, because I had the big saga at Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, of my sewer backing up and having to get out there and snake it and everything else. And we ended up having to run an extension cord at that time to get the aerator back working, to get things pumping through there like it should. And then we had someone come out to fix it, and it was working fine. Well, then all of a sudden the other day, we realized it wasn't working anymore. So I had ran the extension cord that used to be out here to the compressor. I had run it around the house to the aerator. Now I could have unplugged it, but they're 250 feet apart. One's out in our shed, the compressor is, the outlet's on our house, and then it runs all the way around the other side of our house toward the beach to the aerator. And I just said, no. I said, what we'll do is let's go drive to the shed. We'll get the compressor. I'll load it onto the back. Let's take it to the house. I'll just plug it in on the carport and air it up right there. Should be easy. Things should just be that easy to do, but they're never that easy. They're just not. And it just seems like when it's going to be a day where nothing goes right, then the whole day just rolls downhill. I don't know how to explain it, but we brought the compressor to the house. Of course, the hose had come undone somehow, but I didn't realize that till we had booted the compressor all the way up and it cut off. So I was like, oh, let me air the tire up. Then I realized the hose wasn't even connected. And then it wouldn't connect. It's a matter of just pulling this little stem back, putting your air on, and it'll suck on there. If you've done it before, you know what I'm talking about. It's not that hard. It would not connect. It wouldn't connect. So my husband's trying to tell me that I need to bleed the air out and start over. I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. I can air things up with a compressor, which I felt like I was doing good knowing that, but I don't know how to bleed the air out and everything. Come to find out, there's a little valve on the bottom. Anyway, I don't want to get all over the place with this, but I had to turn that valve on the bottom, bleed out the compressor. It let my hose hook up after we did that. And you got to understand, Richard's trying to tell me this, and he can't just say, hey, there's a nozzle on the bottom, turn that nozzle and it'll bleed out the compressor. No, it's a lot more to it than that. So by the time I finally figured out what to do, I was already about to cry. I didn't realize I was getting sick. That probably explains a lot of this, but at the time I was just mad. I just wanted to get out to my garden. I just wanted to get on that tractor and knock out A, B, and C off my list. I just wanted to feel like I was accomplishing something. And here I was fighting with a compressor. So, of course, when I got my hose hooked on, I'm now sitting there with a compressor that is bled out of air. So we have to shut that valve and sit there for another 10 minutes waiting for it to fill up with air again. So you can't really start using it until it fills up with air and cuts off. So I'm just standing there. I'm just, waiting on this air, and it was just driving me crazy. Finally, we got it done, and I was like, okay, you go, you have fun. I'm going to get on the tractor, and we're going to knock some stuff out. And then we had to go back in the house. He didn't feel good. So he said, I need to go back inside. And I said, what? What? So we did. I had to drive him around to the front of the house. I had to get him back in the house. And it was just a long morning. It was, there was no gardening going on. It was all caretaker mode. I hate to use that phrase caretaker, but on this particular day, it was all caretaker mode. I had to just take care of some things. He just didn't feel that great. And so I was stuck inside. I was probably 1 o'clock before I came back outside. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, Okay, half my day's gone, but that's all right. I'm going to get things done. I'm just going to make use of the time I have. Everything's been taken care of. We good. It's all good. I'm going to go outside and really get some things done. So I got on the tractor. I hauled the extra dirt I needed over to the small garden, the upper garden. Got that finished. And I hooked the disc onto the tractor. And I disked the garden. So I needed to go ahead and do the same thing at Richard's garden, which is a lot bigger. But I needed to go ahead over there and finish putting the black soil on that, disc it up. And then I was going to come back over here, take the disc off, put the hiller on, which makes your rows. I was going to put it on and just row it all up and be done with it. So I got the upper garden disked up. I rode over there to Richard's garden. I jumped down from the tractor and I started just kind of raking out the black soil. You know, I added a little where I needed to, but pretty much after I raked really good, I had a pretty good spread on there over on top of the dirt. So then I was ready to run the spreader. Now I started to film some of this, but then I really was so anxious at this point just to get it done that I couldn't even really comprehend stopping to film and putting cameras at angles or whatever. So I just said, let me just jump back on the tractor and disc this up and mix this organic soil into my soil and get it going. And, you know, and I'm going to be able to say I've done that. All I got to do is go over there, take the disc off, put the hiller on, and go hit both gardens, and I can say, whoa, I'm done. The only thing I wouldn't have done would be at that point the lower garden and putting my drip tape and everything. But if I could have just crossed that off at this point, since I wasn't even walking out of the house till 1 o'clock, I was going to consider myself a big success. Well, after I disked the garden, I parked up by the little gravel road and I looked out at it and it looked beautiful. It just looked so beautiful. And I said, you know what, I'm going to film this part from my tractor, just a quick little film showing what I had done to the garden and to add it to some other little clips I had filmed the day before and stuff. And, you know, have some content for YouTube. And I reached for my camera and it wasn't there. And I was like, where's my camera? Where's it at? And then it just hit me. I remember setting it on the tire of the tractor. I was going to film myself raking, and I didn't. And I set it on the tire of the tractor, and I forgot. And I had run over my cell phone. I ran smack over it. I found it out in the garden. It was buried in dirt, and it looked pretty good as I was walking towards it. And I was like, oh, please let it just have fallen to the side, or let it have went into the dirt, you know, and not gotten tore up. But no, when I picked it up and flipped it over, it was smashed. The whole frame, the whole glass was smashed. It was bent up. It was terrible looking. The only thing that looked good was the back of the phone, and it wouldn't come on. It was done. And I wanted to cry so bad. I wanted to cry. I need to back up at this point and say that when I was in the house earlier with my husband, between the time of the compressor and having to take care of him after that, I did go in my kitchen and I cried for a little while, just for a little bit. It was just kind of a pressure release kind of cry. But I remember asking God, I'm just like, do you even want me to go outside and garden? You know, that it's kind of, it sounds like a pity party, but that's the place my mind was at that time. And I was like, I just want to get out of the house every day and just garden. I don't even have to get out there real early, you know. I don't mind taking care of everything, but some days it just feels like I can't get out there at all. Am I not supposed to be doing this gardening business? You know, do you not want me to? You know, just tell me, because I feel like you're not wanting me to even go outside. Well, all of a sudden here I am, I've done run over my telephone, which is the only thing I use to film YouTube. I do have a camera that I bought, but it's so technical that I can't figure out how to use it. I'm sorry, I'm just not the generation that can just pick up a camera like that and just know what to do with it. So I'm using my phone, and it's worked out fine. I think it's working out fine. But it was crushed in the ground. And on top of all that, about 2 weeks ago, I had decided to cancel the insurance on our phones just to kind of save money, trying to fit everything into that budget of long-term disability and Social Security. I've got savings and things like that. I didn't have to cancel the insurance, but I did. I just kind of was messing around one night, saw the app for Verizon on my phone, started clicking around, figured out what they were charging me for insurance every month. I've never had a problem with tearing up phones. So I canceled it. 2 weeks later, I run over my telephone with my tractor. So I was like a steam kettle just about to explode. I was just so upset at myself. I was so mad at myself. And I said, okay, I'm going to drive back up to the house and I'm going to probably cry. But on the way to the house, I made another big mistake. I said, okay, well, if I'm going to have a crying fit and I'm going to have to come out later to row up the gardens, let me go ahead and take the disc off the back of the tractor, put the hiller on. That way, after I've had my meltdown, I can come out here and just rock and roll. I'm not going to have to deal with implements after that. Well, let me tell you, if there's anything I can tell you that you ever remember that I've said, is never, ever, ever go try to take off a tractor implement and put another one on when you're about ready to have a meltdown. It's not a good idea. Nothing went right. Nothing went right. And we have a disconnect, well, it's called a quick connect system on our tractor. You're supposed to be able to back up to things and quick connect onto it, and then you're supposed to be able to quickly disconnect from things. It's a little implement thing. It makes it a lot easier than having to do so many pins and things. Again, if you have a tractor, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you probably don't. But the quick connect makes things easier, and I had hooked the disc up pretty easy. I went to let it off, and it was like a non-quick disconnect. It didn't want to let go. It just, nothing was going right. The pins wouldn't pull out. I do have to still pull one pin out. The pins wouldn't pull out. Nothing would disconnect. It was horrible. And I kept having to get on and off my tractor, which if you have a tractor, you know what I'm talking about. You don't just jump on and off. You don't just put it in park, jump off. You have to put it in neutral, set your parking brake, put your bucket down on the ground to kind of stabilize the tractor. And I was on an incline, so I had to stabilize my tractor before I could jump on and off. So every time I jumped on and off was a process. And then when you got back on it, you know, you're clicking to get your parking brake off, you're putting it back in gear, you're picking up your bucket because it's on the ground, you can't move with it on the ground, and doing it all over again. Sometimes literally all you need to do is go a half an inch to let something be a little loose enough to unclick. You only need like a half an inch. So you go 5 inches because you can't control the tractor. So then you finally get it back to where you think you got it, where you can unhook something now. So then you have to put your bucket back down, put it back in neutral, set your parking brake. You know, it's a mess. And I finally got it disconnected. But at this point, I was in tears outside. I mean, I was just like, I don't understand why this thing won't disconnect. I don't understand, you know, and I was just about to go crazy. And the only thing that kept me from just losing it outside was because I have two male neighbors. One lives one side of our lake, one lives down the lake a little bit. And between the two of them, one of them seems to always be out there fishing. And one of them he was not far from me and on his little party barge boat fishing. And if I would have just lost it, he would have probably came running thinking something was wrong with me. So I had to hold it together. I finally went inside. I took that old beat up phone. I walked in my front door, and if you know my house, when you walk in my front door, I have about a 26-foot long hallway foyer. I call it a foyer, but it's really a long hallway when you walk in my front door. And it goes straight, there's a cased opening, and it goes straight into my kitchen, which is about 22 feet wide. And then there's the back wall of my kitchen. And when I came in, I shut that door kind of hard. And I took that phone, and I chunked it like I was Oral Hershiser. And it went straight down my foyer, never hit a wall, never hit a cased open. It went straight across my kitchen and slammed into that back wall of my kitchen, and it felt good. And I hollered at that phone. I said, what you gonna do, break? I said, you already broke. I said, I've already crushed you. And that was it. It was on like Donkey Kong. I went in my den, I fell into a chair, and I just started bawling. And I've cried and cried and cried. And I was like, dear Lord, I thought you just didn't want me to ever go outside every day. I was like, you don't even want me to have a YouTube channel. You know, my phone is crushed. And I was just crying. And it seemed so silly. And if I had really understood that I was getting sick and that my body was just down, you know, I might would have handled this with a little bit more composure, but I didn't. And I just fell apart. And I was just like, I thought you wanted me to have a YouTube channel. I thought that's what this was all about. I thought you told me to go ahead and get started, that this was a good time. And, and I'm like, but I don't have anything to film with now. And I'm going to have to pay for a new phone because I canceled my insurance, And then I was just on and on and on. And I said, and my P's haven't come up yet. And I'm scared, It sounds silly. But it was the true things coming out of me. It was the true feelings, true anxieties, but it was way more magnified than I guess it should have been. But it just had to happen. It just had to happen. And I was so upset at myself. I was just crying. And I just sat in there and I just let her rip. And I remember saying, I'm going to be embarrassed on national television because my P's didn't come up, and I made a big video about my P's, And I can I can kind of feel like I felt God saying, national television, Lainie, you only have 47 subscribers. And I remember saying, I know, I only have 47 subscribers, and I'm working so hard, Nothing made me feel better, nothing. And I appreciate every subscriber. I was not rational at this point. I was just so distraught. But God is good. I walk out there yesterday and could tell the P's were coming up, so it's okay. I walked out there today. There's more coming up, and they're getting a little bit bigger, and I know that many more are coming. P's don't just all pop up on the same day. P's always do that. They all kind of come up in little sections, and some of them may drag in more than a week from now, but that's just how it is. But after I had my little moment, it was more than a moment. It was probably 30 minutes. But after I had that, I just somehow just stood up, and I was like, okay, enough, enough. You got work to do. So I came back out. I got on my tractor. I backed up to the Hiller implement and was able to connect it pretty easy. Thank goodness. So I got it done, and I took it and went and rode up my upper garden and rode up Richard's garden. So I felt like I had just climbed a mountain. I felt like of course it starts getting dark by 5:30. So this all happened in a 4.5 hour span, So the next day, of course, my throat's killing me. I can't hardly talk. I guess the moral of this story is today that, life is just fluid. You can't come on YouTube and act like everything's great, like the tractor starts every time you want to get on it, like everything works fine. It's just not reality. Reality TV is more what I had Monday. Sometimes it's just sitting in a chair crying. And I hate to say that, and I hate to act like I'm weak or I'm ungrateful. I'm not. I think my body was just tired. I really have not had a big crying moment since Richard's stroke last January. I've just done what I've needed to do. I've got him to therapy 3 and 4 days a week, depending on what month it was, from March 2nd or March 3rd all the way till end of October, Halloween. I've got him to every appointment. I do what I need to do in the house every day. How I kind of release the pressure sometimes is just if I can escape for a few moments, even just editing these videos. I usually go back into the guest bedroom and just kind of sit in a chair and edit these videos. And to me, that's very relaxing. It's just some time by myself. It's time where I have to kind of sit still and be quiet so that I can really pay attention to the video and edit it. But even just moments like that helps me have some quiet time, some time by myself. And it usually does what it needs to do to just kind of release the pressure. If I'm out in my garden by myself for a little while, I'm okay. I can keep going, and it releases the pressure. But I think also, probably this was just building up for a while of just needing to really cry, just have a good cry about it. So if you have been through things like this, I'm sure you can understand. And I'm sure if you watch my channel, you know that I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for everything. We've got it so much better than some people, and it just is what it is. I guess I say that a lot, and I don't want to downplay what other people have gone through with strokes or car wrecks or anything that has caused people to have disabilities. I don't want to downplay that when I say it is what it is, but what I mean by that is it's just, okay, there it is. You know, I can't sit around fussing about it, woe is me, that kind of thing. It just is what it is. We have to just deal with it each day, and we go forward. And we have so many good times, so many times of peace and laughter and family. My daughter and her kids are living with us right now because they sold their house here. They're moving to Texas, but the house in Texas won't be ready until the 25th, which is this coming week. I'm not sure what day. So it'll be ready the 25th. So they're staying with us through then. And so we've had just grandbabies, and we've been able to just have fun times and get some hugs and some love, you know, and do things, and take our little grandson riding with us on the four-wheeler, and our granddaughter likes to drive it. So she's almost 14, so she likes to drive it around our property. So we've had some good times, and we're so blessed that I don't ever want to feel like I'm sitting here complaining. I just think sometimes you need a little bit of a release. And I think between that and me starting to get sick this week, ended up rolling out with a sore throat all week long, and just ears kind of hurting and just coughing like crazy, and just fatigue, you know, all week long. But I think I've got it whooped now. It's Saturday. I may cough a little bit more because sometimes you just do that. There's just something in the air that's making me do that. But I just wanted to kind of do a quick video. I'll try to slide a few little things in here to show you some things that I've been working on this week. Like, for instance, last night, which was Friday the 18th, I did finally start my seeds on my seed rack. It's a shelf my sister gave me, but I rigged it up with lights on each level. I did end up ordering the heat mats, like I had told you. I ended up getting them from Harris Seeds. They were called Simple and Easy Heat Mats, and that's what I needed. I didn't need anything extremely complicated or huge. Some of them are either tiny or they're huge. And so I finally just found a size that would just fit under a 48 cell tray. Worked out perfect. So I'm so glad I bought those. I'll slide that in here at the end, but I just wanted to thank everybody. I'm sorry I haven't posted in over a week. It's probably been a week and a half to almost 2 weeks since I've posted, but it's just been a lot going on. Thank you so much. This is Lainie at Camp Joy Farms. Enjoy the ending part about the seeds, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, this is Lainie from Camp Joy Farms. I've been a little under the weather this week, and I haven't been doing a lot of work, but I thought I'd better get going on starting my tomatoes. I had intended on starting them on February 15th, Tuesday. It is Friday the 18th, and so I just decided I better get this going. I'm already 3 days late starting the plants, and that's only going to give me about 6 weeks as it is, so I don't want to wait anymore. I'm learning as I go. This is the first time I've ever done this, but it's fun. I found a little trick way of doing it that I saw that someone else had done, and I thought I would try that, using toilet paper holders to start some of my plants. I'm hoping that'll help me not have to pot them up. Since I'm only going to be doing them 6 weeks, I'm hoping that maybe they'll have enough room in these toilet paper holders to kind of not have to be potted up, but if I have to, I do. I want to show you what I've bought to get going with this, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. I decided to buy the heat mats, as I said in another video, and this is what I ended up buying. They're from Harris Seed Company, and they're, I believe, 9 inches long by 19 inches long, I think is what they were. By 20, maybe, something like that. But the seed trays fit on them really good. It holds the seed tray really well. It's about the same width and length of that. So that helps a lot. I've got it heating up right now, and I've got my first tray of tomato plants already done. Took me a little while because you individually do these little toilet paper holders instead of just being able to dump a lot of dirt on there and everything. What I did was I labeled the outside with a Sharpie. So I'm hoping that that doesn't fade or anything. I'll be in trouble if it does, but that's the only way I really think I can do this right now, because I am going to cover it with some plastic wrap just to make sure that it gets as much heat trapped in there as possible and gets germinated good. And these are supposed to be, you know, compostable. You plant the plant straight in the ground in this, and that's it. You don't have to tear it off and let your roots be exposed or anything like that. You can just put it in the ground just like this, and it kind of composts in the ground. So that's a good thing. That's what I'm going to do with this tray. My second tray I'm just going to do in the regular tray because that's all the materials I have. I have some more toilet paper holders that I've managed to gather, but I only have one of these really big trays to hold them. So I think I'm just going to do the second set in this tray. And I'm doing this on the shelf that my sister gave me. Might look a little complicated there, but what I did was I hung the lights by wire. I've got them kind of tied off up here. They're adjustable. I drilled 4 holes at the end of each shelf so that I could put this string through for the lights. Now I only have 1 light on this shelf, so I put it in the 2 middle holes. But if I had 2 lights, I would put them here and here. I did that on all 3 shelves and on both sides, on both ends, so that I could hang these lights. And you can see how they're hooked up there. And they're just hooked up with wire that can be adjustable. I can adjust them up or down, however high or low I need them. I've got all tomatoes in this first one. I've got all tomatoes in the second one. And the bottom one at the bottom is all bell peppers. So only thing I didn't get done right now is my eggplants. They're right here. The little toilet paper holders are right there for my eggplants, and I will get those done next week or so once some of this stuff germinates. Then I'll kind of move it off the heat mat and use the heat mat for my eggplants. I was happy to see that after just a little while, the humidity that was created by putting the saran wrap over the trays and the heat from the heat mat was causing some condensation. So I know these things are probably going to germinate really well. So I kind of feel like I'm off to a good start. I'm hoping they'll germinate and we'll have some really good plants, but we shall see.